when I started the purchase process, I had a lien and my credit was as low as it could be to purchase a house. I had a
Mhm.
590 because in my first couple of years, even though I was a top producing agent, the money came in fast and I believed in high rise apartments. So I
Yeah.
was living irresponsibly.
Hey friends, I'm Rosemary Lewis, your homegirl, and I'm so excited that you are here. I do not care what it looks like on Instagram or HGTV. This whole being a realtor thing is not for the faint at heart. In 2017, I quit my job as a teacher to follow my real estate dreams and quickly found myself overwhelmed and struggling. Fast forward to today. Not only have I been recognized as one of the leaders in our industry, I have actually grown a business that I absolutely love. I don't care if you're a brand new agent trying to figure out how to get started or a veteran feeling overwhelmed and just stuck. I was just like you and I totally get it. Many times I wish there was someone that I could just talk to about all the challenges I was facing. And that is why I created this space just for you. Like best friends do, I'm giving you all the tea related to navigating and thriving in these real estate streets. If I can do it, guess what? That's proof that you can too. Everything's better with friends, so let's succeed together. Welcome to the Real Estate Bestie Podcast. Hey there, besties. I'm always excited, but today I am legitly extra excited because you get to meet one of my real life real estate besties. And before I tell you who she is, I'm going to tell her a little story that I probably have. I don't know if I've ever told you this story, but you know how you are on social media, and I don't know about most of you, but I definitely follow different agents in my market, whether I know them or not, for collaboration, but also like I just want to see what people be doing. And this young lady, I don't know when she came across my news feed, but automatically I was like, I like her style and I love her vibe from, the way that she handled her business. But even more than that, you just came across so personable. And I was super excited when we actually got to meet each other in
Mhm.
person. And I'm happy to say that you are one of my real life besties at this point. Hey, Amber Dorsey.
Hello, Rosemary. I remember when we first met in person too. You were standing behind me. We were at a seminar and you were standing behind me and you were like, "Oh my gosh, real estate cousin." And I like gave you a hug. You would have never thought that was our first time meeting each other.
Nope, nope. And that is one of the gifts of social media. I know that it can be a
hmm
lot of up and down, but you find your people. And you're right. The first time that
hmm
I saw you, I knew that it wouldn't be any of that stankness. We were just cool from the very
hmm
beginning.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Well,
I
I
remember
know who
that.
you are. Tell the besties a little bit about yourself, Amber.
Okay, so my name is Amber Dorsey. I am the team lead for Dorsey DFW Group. I have been practicing real estate for a little over 9 years now. After a year of practicing real estate, I went full time. I just quit on my 1 year anniversary and I decided to just dive into it. Y'all, I only sold one house, but if I don't believe in me, can nobody else believe in me? I am top producer in the DFW area, and I have been for the past 6 years. And so, yeah, that's pretty much it.
No, I love it. I love it. And one thing that separates, you are you and I am me. But one thing is you are probably one of the only not one of the only, but you are actually a Dallas native. And we don't see that a
Yeah.
lot in our market.
Yeah, so I am born and raised in Dallas. I left for a little bit for college. So when I first came back and I started doing real estate, primarily most of my clientele was like people from school. So
Yeah.
that's literally how I started.
No, I love it. I love it. And you are just holding it down. Her social is off the chain. We will link Amber's social to you. But like when I watch you, not only am I inspired by what you do in real estate, but I'm also like, I need to get outside. Like it's stuff happening outside and Amber is doing it and I need to get outside too.
Oh no, let me say this because I tell you this in text messages and I told you this before the call started. I'm so proud of you. I'm so excited about everything that's happening with the real estate bestie. Just watching it come to fruition because you divulge some personal information when you were first going through this transition and being, I guess, imposter syndrome in a sense.
Yep.
And that's what we're going to talk about. And so, I spoke life into you, but just to see you push through because nobody can speak life into you like you can for yourself. So I'm super proud of you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And this is why, friends, we're going to talk about, because I had to get a good girlfriend in here to talk about it. But this is why I'm like, we both have experienced the competition culture in real estate. And
Mhm.
I feel like, do you do the Enneagram, Amber? Do you know your Enneagram? Do you do that?
Mm-mm.
Okay, I'll talk to you about it later. I
I
bet you're a
have
three.
like I have back in the day, but I'm pretty sure my personality has changed because everything changes.
Yeah. Just when I see you, I bet that you have some three in you. I could be completely wrong, but I just say that to say it's okay to be a natural competitor, but like competition, I love that at least my experience with you and when I see you just being a helping hand to others, we very much could have looked at each other like competitors, but from that very first
Mm,
meeting when I was just at a crossroads, because it's hard after you get to a certain level to know who you can talk to about stuff and have
hmm.
honest conversation. And you were very open, and I appreciate that.
No, of course.
Yes. So in the future, I'm going to have you come on to talk about being a team leader. But y'all, let me tell you where I hit my girl up today. Because in the Real Estate Bestie Facebook group, and if you're not a part of the Facebook group, I need you to go ahead, go over there and connect with the besties there. It's rosemarylewis.com/Facebook. But I asked a question, and the question that I asked was, what is something that you are struggling right now in your business? And I got a lot of different answers about, creating rhythm and mindset. But then I had one that struck a chord with me, and I have personal experience, but I wanted to bring Amber on to give a different perspective.
Mm,
That question was, how do you overcome imposter syndrome when you are selling homes and you are working to accumulate buyers and sellers, but you yourself are not a homeowner? And I was so proud of the person, the bestie who posted, because that was a very raw and honest conversation to bring up. And there were so many besties who, responded like, yes, I struggle with that too, right? I struggle with, telling people that they shouldn't rent and they should become homeowners when I myself am renting. And we are going to unpack that because Amber, you experienced that just like I have, right?
hmm hmm.
Yeah. So let's talk about it because the difference, y'all, is that Amber was already a top producing agent before she was a homeowner. I was the opposite. I was building my career and buying a house at the same time, but I still dealt with it. But I wanted to talk about it from your perspective because you weren't half stepping in you didn't let that hold you back. So if you could just walk me through what building your business was and if these thoughts ever came up, like what was your process?
So, first, I have this weird belief, and I started this when I first graduated college. Like, nobody can tell you no before you tell yourself no, right?
Mm,
And so we tend to give ourselves the no's and talk ourselves out of things out of fear. And I guess when I graduated college and I was looking for jobs, a lot of people were telling me I went to school for broadcast journalism and I am a Dallas native and I sound a lot of Southern, okay? And so when it was time to apply for places, that's literally what they told me. They didn't just say I sounded Southern, they told me I sounded ethnic. So it wasn't
mm,
just Southern, I sounded Black. And so they had an issue with my ethnicity coming through in my Southernness. And so they told me no, and it was up to me on what I could do with that. So I went and I took voice lessons, and then I decided to give up on it because it was like for another college degree in the process. So I rerouted myself. So when I got into real estate, it was pretty much the same thing. Like, no, I don't own a house, but I'm not telling you not to rent. I'm not telling you not to do whatever. I'm telling you, if you want to buy, work with the best.
mm,
If you want to do this, work with me. I'm not telling you what's best for you because I can't tell you what's best for you. I can tell you how to get through this the best way possible. And so that's basically what I built my business off of, is me telling you like, hey, if you want to buy, this is what we can do. If you're looking to buy in 3 years, let's put a plan together. If you want to rent, let's go find the best rental property there was out there. Back then, when I first started, I would do apartment locating, and I was very specific about the apartment locating I would do. I would only do high rises, and they had to pay a certain dollar amount, to be clear. Like, because ultimately and transparently, I don't do it for the money, but I still got to pay my bills.
Exactly.
So I wanted to make a decent amount of money in order to pay my bills. So my business was built on apartment locating. Then it transitioned into home buyers, and I just would help people. I'm very detail oriented. I'm very attentive. I'm very personable. Um, I'm your therapist in the process, because that is what we are. And I'll wipe your tears. I'll cry with you. I'll pray with you. We'll go through it together, and you'll never feel alone. And so you'll feel like you're shopping with a best friend or a family member. And so that's how I marketed myself. When the conversation came up, like, well, why you don't own a home? Well, it's different when you're self-employed. I
Mm-hmm.
should have purchased a house when I had a 9 to 5, but I didn't. So now we're here. And so when you're self-employed, just how you set up your taxes is one conversation you need to have. And if you're looking to buy, that's something, that we can talk about, or, in this podcast, talking to your CPA, or making sure you have a CPA, to be
Yeah.
clear. Because a lot of people don't even know that you need to have a CPA. Like, a tax preparer is not going to help you buy a house.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to have a CPA in order to even get in that position. And I know I kind of went past the question,
Yeah, yeah, no,
but
you did good. We're gonna go back to that because you said something like that I do want to back up to, and then we are gonna get to the meat and
okay.
potatoes. So I love all of like you, yeah, y'all probably like all these gems she's dropped already. But one thing that you said that I absolutely love, and this is something that I think realtors have to be very careful, or just anyone in sales, you have to be very careful with your messaging because and I know you've heard it too, where people, real estate agents, real estate professionals, or even people in a certain position kind of shame other folks if they are renting, right? You should not, you should be a homeowner. If you stupid, if you paying your landlord's mortgage. And quite honestly, purchasing a house is not the best thing and the best situation for everyone at that time.
Mhm.
And what I love and what I hear you saying is that you were just like, hey, you met your clients where they were. And wherever they were, you put yourself in position to help them. And you really made it
Mhm.
more about them than about you. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, I love that because oftentimes I hear, and not so as much anymore, especially with all the stuff that's going on with NAR, but I would always hear, almost, I hate it when a salesperson feels like they're yelling at me, like I'm dumb if I don't do it this way. So I think that the lesson that I'm getting from you, that I think the besties can pick up, is like be careful in your messaging, right? So your messaging wasn't you are silly if you are not a homeowner, and now you're contradicting yourself if you weren't a homeowner. But your messaging, it was like, hey, if this is a goal of yours, then I am the right person for the job. Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
so
because
did you,
if we look at a lot of careers like accountants, that don't mean, just because you're an accountant don't mean your finances are in order.
baby?
So it's just an assumption.
Yep, yep, absolutely. And I'm even thinking about so many careers. Like my first OBGYN was a dude. You know what I mean? So,
Mhm.
but he was the best. He was the best in the business, and he had no knowledge, no actual knowledge of what it was to give birth. But
Be a
that doesn't
woman.
mean
Mhm.
that he helped me bring both of my boys in the world. So I wouldn't trade him for the world. You know what
Mhm.
I mean? So no,
Mhm.
absolutely. So talk to me about what did it look like when you did decide, like at what point in the game did you decide, you know what? I think I might want to be a homeowner.
So I think it was like 2019 when I initially started thinking about it, right? So I had my CPA. No, I didn't have a CPA yet. I had an accountant do my taxes, and I told her that it would be the last year that she would do my taxes. but not to write off everything because I knew that was part of the process. So don't write off everything. I know I'm going to have to pay, but let's try to get me in this price point of home. So we knew that we needed to average out a certain amount of money in order to get me in that type of home. And then I turned around and got a CPA at the end of the year. And when I got my CPA, she turned me into an S corp. And
Mm-hmm.
so she made me an employee of me. And so honestly, like looking back at it, like she helped me and put me in a position to buy, but she actually did my taxes wrong. And I just found that out this year
That.
because I wasn't eligible to be an S corp. So I'm just a realtor. So now in Texas, we could be S corps, but
But
back
back
then
then
we
you
couldn't.
couldn't. Yeah.
But she put me in position to purchase my house. So I purchased my house in February of 2023. And so starting 2020 and 2021 and 2022, I started getting my taxes in order. So just making sure everything was set up, have a payment plan with the IRS, because mind you, the first year that I guess I got her, I didn't have all of that stuff in order. And
Yeah.
so transparently, when I started the purchase process, I had a lien and my credit was as low as it could be to purchase a house. I had a
Mm-hmm.
590 because in my first couple of years, even though I was a top producing agent, the money came in fast and I believed in high rise apartments. So I
Yeah.
was living irresponsibly.
Yeah.
And so it was a point to where it's like, okay, I want a house and I want to do it this way. So let's, pull back and like, let's start saving. Let's start doing these things. So just setting myself up for it. It doesn't happen overnight, especially as an entrepreneur. It doesn't happen overnight.
No, Amber, you are preaching. I'm like, hallelujah, because I just want to even back up. Like the fact of the matter is that you definitely were making money. And that's the first, like, so that's the first myth I want to bust, right? Like you can't really stand out here confidently, make money and serve people at a high level unless you too are a homeowner. So we have busted that
Mm-hmm.
because at the level that you, and I ain't about to put your business out here, but at the level of when you decided to buy a house, you were making a couple $100,000 a year, right? You had blown, like you
Mm-hmm.
had
Mm-hmm.
superseded your corporate income. But this is the part that people don't talk about because that money come fast. And I too have looked at some of my choices and I'm like, ooh, I might have done that differently. Don't regret anything because I've learned from
Mm-hmm.
those choices. But there does come a time I equate it to like getting on the scale, right? Anytime I know it's time to get on the scale, oh, I hate it. I do not want to see that number. But there is actually some strength and confidence from actually, like, once you actually rip the band-aid off and get on the scale and you know the number, now we can make a plan and figure out exactly what we want to do. And this is the part that I do think that it is a little disingenuous to encourage people to do work that we're not willing to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
If it's something that we want. And what I hear you saying is you had to do that hard, heavy lifting adulting. And if that looked like
Mm-hmm.
putting yourself on a budget, getting on a tax plan, hiring a CPA isn't cheap. But this ultimately, I think you get to the point where you like, I'm helping everybody else. I need to use these same skills to actually help myself. And you did that heavy lifting. So you are evidence for me
Yeah.
and the rest of the besties that we can do it. It might be a hard
Yeah.
conversation to have with yourself in the beginning, but it can happen.
Yeah. No. And then I had like a lender, and I'll never forget, like at the very beginning, I had a lender, and my lender tried to make me feel like my file was difficult because I had a
Mm,
590 and a lien. And I was like, but I don't have no collections. I don't have nothing on my credit. Like, I should be able to buy with a 590 because I have the income. My income superseded anything.
yeah.
And so, usually they'll tell you, like, oh, well, the person doesn't have great credit, but they got a lot of money. Well, that lot of money can help make a difference. And so it was, for me, that was my situation. And so the day before closing, he called me and told me that, and this is where you should know your stuff, right? because it's so different being a buyer and your own realtor at the same time because you're emotional, but you're
Mm-hmm.
vulnerable to who? Like nobody's really there to hold your hand the same. And so, like buying as a single woman, it was just completely different too. Like, I'm not buying with a partner and me and my partner are doing this together. No, I'm buying as a single woman. And so, the day before closing, he called me and was like, "Hey, it came up on the title paperwork that you have a new lien." Y'all, I could have walked away from buying the house, the whole process. I remember like researching it, asking the title company for a copy of the paperwork to talk about the lien and all of that. That paperwork wasn't new. That was my IRS tax lien. Then I contacted the title company. I switched lenders. I contacted the title company and I asked them to ask their underwriting, could they remove the lien? So this is just something you should know for any of your clients who have tax
Yeah.
liens or yourself. But ask them, could they remove the tax lien because the purchase price of my home superseded the tax lien.
Mm.
And so they turned that into their underwriting. And a day later, they were like, they removed it.
Wow. Wow.
But that's something your lender is supposed to do. So my lender was just lazy.
Mm. And had you worked with this lender before?
I was guinea pigging myself.
Okay. Okay.
I guinea pigged myself because he had been begging to work with me. So if any file he should have worked his butt off for, it should have been mine.
Wow. Wow. So I like, it's not that I don't love that happened, but this is what I do like and appreciate about the story is that you were already a darn good realtor before that, right? But going
Mm-hmm.
through the emotions and all of the different things for yourself, you had to flex your knowledge and your skills. But now I imagine that you have a different level too of, because experience is a great teacher. So
Mm-hmm.
I imagine you have a different level of sensitivity when it comes to servicing your clients because you have some firsthand
Mm-hmm.
experience now.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
make you
And
better or worse than you were before, but you just have a different level of experience.
I'm even more hands-on, which is even crazier because I didn't think I could be more hands-on, but like I'm even more thorough. Like I'll go through the title paperwork in detail, make sure that if something is a red flag, I'm calling title, asking questions. Hey, is this something that could be, we could get rid of? I'll pick up the phone and this. I'll pick up the phone and call you and be like, hey, this popped up. Like, do
Yeah.
you know a way that you can do this? Or anything. So yeah, I'm even more sensitive and cautious when it comes to my clients now.
No, I love it. I love it. So how was it? Because I remember and I feel like is this a pinned post on your Instagram when you bought a house? Did you pin it to the top of your
I
profile?
didn't. So it's at the top, but I don't tell the story. I said I need to tell the story just because everybody thinks like, oh, okay, she's a realtor, she's a top producer making about $500,000 a year. The assumption is, oh, that was easy for her.
Yeah.
And it wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
And I remember, and I don't think we were friends yet. As a matter of fact, I think I was just following you. And I remember when you bought the house, and I was like, "Oh, that's so cool." What was your clients' responses? Because I think that people are nervous. Like, I can't even post my win because if they find out I just bought a house, and like, what was their response?
They were excited. Like clients that I had worked with 2, 3 years before were like, oh my gosh, you finally did it. I'm so happy for you. And blah. Because people do ask, like transparently, people do ask, like, well, why don't you own? And I would just be honest, like, hey, I owe the IRS a lot of money. I got to get a few things squared away. And I don't mind being transparent with my clients because I know so much of their business.
Exactly.
So it makes them more comfortable to talk to you about their stuff. And so I could just tell them like, just because I like make a lot of money doesn't mean, everything is squared away. I had 3 years prior to that where I was making decent money that I didn't do anything right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now I got to go back and correct those 3 years and then catch up.
Oh, you know what? You
So,
you just
and
you
I'm,
just preached the whole sermon when you said I'm comfortable being transparent with my clients because I know so much of their business. And I think that that's where sometimes the disconnect is. And I do want to ask you about that because I know that I can be like, sometimes I have to censor my level of transparency. I probably cry on Facebook once a week. Um, but were you always like that? Or is that because there might be somebody that's like, well, that's just not who I am. My business is my business. And I'm not saying you should put your social out there, but I do think that people connect with authenticity and whatever that looks like. So is that something that you've always done, or is it something that
Mm-mm,
you've learned to do?
mm-mm. So it's a learned behavior. I guess that's my sales tactic in a sense, right? So like I'm very private. If you go on my social media, y'all, I've been in a relationship for 7 years. You will not see my boyfriend on my page. The only time you see him is he purchased a house for me, and you don't even know he my boyfriend unless you actually read the caption. And I was like, it's different when the investment also affects you. I think that's what the caption was,
I'm
right?
about to go back and read your page and see if I can figure. Send it to me, girl, so I can see what it look like.
So like, but I never post him. Like I never do because he's not my husband, right? So I just don't. But in a sense, like I give you so much of me on my social media to where you feel like you know me. So my clients get a little bit more of me. They just get a little bit more. So when I have the initial conversation, one of the things is I'm going to get all up in your business. And I literally say that I'm about to get all up in your business because the only way I can negotiate a really good contract is if you're transparent with me.
Mm.
Just because you got 30,000 in the bank don't mean you want to spend 30,000. So I need you to talk to me. I need you to tell me everything because I need to know what I'm negotiating. And so we have those transparent conversations. So then when they ask me questions about my personal life, I feel comfortable giving them just enough to make them comfortable with they've shared so much of me because the most intimate place that you could ever be is home.
Yes. Yep.
And I'm the first person to know where you're moving.
Yep. Yep.
So if I want to be that intimate with you, then you need me to be that intimate with you.
No, girl, I love it. I love it. And I feel very much the same way. And, of course, we have boundaries and, you decide what
Mhm,
you want to share, but real attracts real. And maybe that's why, like, I liked you even
mhm,
before I knew you because real likes real. Like, you can see when something is just manufactured and our clients can see right through it. And I would respect, my husband and I wanted your perspective because my story is like me and Corey foreclosed the house, right? So, people will look
mm,
now, oh, y'all got 50 doors or how many doors man got, I don't even know. But we also foreclosed our personal residence and like 8 more, like years ago. And I
mhm,
think like sometimes we live in a culture and especially, you know, sometimes people see as real estate agents as just flashy folks that are always winning. But I think it's important that you show your authentic parts too. And that's what creates those lifelong relationships with our clients and
mhm,
with others in the industry because we can tell when it's different. We can tell when it's
mhm.
so. Okay, so here's my last question. We're gonna wrap it up. Amber, you are just so dope. We y'all, yeah, we I think Amber needs to be at the real estate bestie retreat next year on the stage talking about building teams and things like that. But for the bestie who is just really, really nervous, to be honest, number one with herself and then honest with her clients, like really feels like this is holding me back. What would you say to them?
Just do it. Honestly, the hardest part is doing it because we get in our own ways. And I said that at the very beginning, right? So get comfortable with who you are. Practice having that conversation. Have imaginary conversations with people if that's what makes you comfortable. But just get comfortable having the conversation. And you don't have to give too much. You don't have to be like, well, this is why I didn't buy because my man left me or you know what I'm saying? Like you don't have to say too much, but I'm just getting my stuff in order and I'm really enjoying helping you through this process and I'm learning so much that when I purchase this is what I want to do or I want a house like yours.
Yeah.
Whatever it may be, just have genuine authentic conversations with people to where they feel comfortable. And you'll be surprised, just like you're cheering them on through their home buying process, when you start buying a house, they're cheering for you too. And you want them to cheer for you so much that they're sending you clients in the process, that
Yep.
they're like, this will help her get where she's trying to go.
No, I love it. And that's even something like I had conversations when we were in our process of building our house. So, with clients to say, what, I wish that if you can buy, that's my thing. Like for somebody, if you can buy and it makes sense, I highly encourage you to, because there was a time when I could not, right? I remember being at closing, wishing that one day it would be my family. And I share that with clients too. Like if you are in position, like I don't want you to be fearful of interest rates and all this stuff. Like if you can afford it, if you have your things in order, you got to pay to live anywhere. It might as well be your own, because there are some people who are just not in position. And then you even have a story for those people who feel like they can never, ever do it. You're like, oh, all you got to do is bring your score up, baby. I had this happen, right? So your story becomes their survival guide.
And I bought in this market with this interest rate. So
Yeah.
I honestly, I would say buy, because the value of my house has gone up like 70,000 in just 1 year.
Yeah. No, that is amazing. Well, okay. I know that the besties are going to want to see you and follow you and connect with you. So where can they find Amber Dorsey?
So my Instagram is at Dorsey, DORSEY _ sales, SELLS _ DFW, as in Dallas Fort Worth. Yeah.
Yes, y'all reach out to Amber. You do all over. You are like, and y'all listen to this. Like we both have teams, similar size. We both sell in the same market. But if it's something that Amber said here that resonates with you, I know she does a lot South. Like even when I have a client South Dallas or something going on, I'm calling her for her expertise, and she picks my brain about the North. So if you have a referral, if you have just somebody that if Amber's resonating, reach out to her, because again, we believe that collaboration is way better than competition. And friend, I am so grateful for you to be my real life real estate bestie and for everything you've poured into the besties today.
Thank you. Thank you. And I'm glad to be here. So thank you.
Yes, yes, yes. All right, besties. Listen, this I know was a great episode. I learned so much, and I've had a similar story, but I just learned so much from Amber. Do me a favor, share this. Like this, we need to see it all over social media, because there is somebody who, number one, is being held back in their business because they feel like, since they're not a homeowner, that they can't stand firmly in helping others. And then there's an agent out there that's like, you know what, I keep going backwards instead of doing the work to move forward. So this will definitely bless somebody. And I will talk to you next week. Love you, besties. Bye.
Bye.
If you enjoyed this episode and you have a real life bestie that you think it would resonate with, y'all, do me a favor. Go ahead and hit that share button, because you know what? We are better together. Make sure you share the podcast, and I appreciate your reviews. I appreciate you giving me 5 stars more than you know. I'll talk to you next week.